So Hakeem Jeffries came out and challenged Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Mike Johnson. Hey, get in front of the cameras. Let's talk about this shutdown. If you want to have full transparency, then let's go ahead and let's give it to the American people. But Donald Trump, Vance, and the entire administration isn't for that. They don't want to do it, and they just continue to keep the government shut down. I really believe this is what they wanted. I truly do. I don't think they ever wanted to work for the American people. I think they were only there working for their billionaire buddies. So, no, I don't think that they really have any intention of working for any of us. But whenever Donald Trump is in these conferences and whenever he's taking questions, he truly is one of the worst ever to take questions and act completely dumb, play completely stupid. I've seen some stupid presidents in my lifetime, don't get me wrong. I mean, we lived through George W. Bush, and I really thought that he was the dumbest ever. But he looks more and more like in the rearview mirror. Now, I still think he's a terrible president, but in the rearview mirror, when you watch Trump take questions, it's always like, well, I'll have to take a look at that. I've got someone else working on that. That's the first time I'm hearing of that. And that's what's weird to me about the whole thing is when you have a leader, and the old expression is the buck stops here, but then when the buck gets to his desk, it's like, oh, well, I don't know. And here he is basically lying and saying that he's meeting with Democrats and talking to them. This is all bullshit, but watch how he gets caught like a deer in headlights right here.
The way you stop them is not to give away, not to announce that you're giving everybody free health care, free this and that, but what that does is it affects the American people because the American people are unable to get good health care. Obamacare has been a wreck, as you know, and to do that, we have to keep it propped up and do the best you can with it. It's a mess. But a lot of things are going on in that. You know, we talk about Hamas, then we talk about negotiations that we have going on right now. We have a negotiation going on right now with the Democrats that could lead to very good things.
What kind of
and I'm talking about good things with regard to health care.
Are you speaking with Democratic leaders? What kind of negotiations?
Well, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. But we are speaking with the Democrats, and some very good things could happen with respect to health care. But
Did you see how he pretty much just stepped in a pile of shit on that one? He said it and didn't think they were going to follow up on the question, and then it was like, well, I don't want to talk about it. Hold on. It's because he's just spitting out verbal diarrhea. He's not thinking ahead as to what could they potentially ask back because he doesn't care what they have to say. Whatever they say, he's going to come back with a line of BS. And if he gets too cornered, then he's just going to say, who do you work with? Your fake news. And he's going to go into his Ravishing Rick Rude style WWE heel character. He'll pull that out if he has to. But here is Hakeem Jeffries. He was on the MeidasTouch Network talking with Ben Meiselas. And Ben asks him, hey, has Trump been in contact with you? And here's what Jeffries had to say about it.
And let's talk about if he's willing to be about it, because at that Oval Office bizarre press conference that he held, he claimed that he and the leaders of the MAGA Republican Party, MAGA Mike and JD and ostensibly Thune, were speaking with Democrats. I mean, his direct quote was, "We are speaking right now and negotiating with Democratic leaders." Is he being truthful or is he lying, Leader Jeffries?
As far as I can tell, that's a stone cold lie, because I have no idea who the president, the Trump administration, J.D. Vance, Speaker Johnson, John Thune, or any of that crew are talking to, because they certainly aren't talking to House Democratic leadership. And in my conversation with Chuck Schumer earlier today, and by the way, the Senate Democrats continue to hold the line. They've now voted this partisan Republican spending bill down 5 times over the last 2.5 weeks and are standing up strongly in defense of the healthcare of the American people, along with House Democrats. But there's no evidence, based on my communication with Leader Schumer earlier today, that Republicans are talking to anybody in terms of trying to reopen the government, enact an enlightened spending agreement, and address the issues that need to be addressed to protect the healthcare of the American people, and also to drive costs down, as opposed to the cost of living crisis in America continuing to suffocate.
Folks, I would like to talk to you about Chapter. Medicare is supposed to benefit seniors, but it can be so confusing. And with many agents chasing commissions instead of caring about folks, millions of seniors end up on plans that aren't right for them every year, paying too much or not getting the care that they need. And that's just wrong. Listen, Medicare annual enrollment runs from October 15th through December 7th. Even if you like your current Medicare plan, it's critical to look at 2026 plans or you risk losing coverage you need. That's because plans change every year and some just disappear. That's why I want you to know about Chapter. They're the only advisors that check every plan nationwide to make sure you get one that works best for you. Their help is free and they can review your options in under 20 minutes. If you're on the right plan, they'll tell you. If not, they'll help you switch. By doing this, they've saved people an average of $1,100 a year. So call Chapter today, get it done fast, and rest easy. You can reach them at 314-732-0423. You know, I'm not there behind the scenes answering the phone calls, but I could pretty much say that Jeffries is telling the truth there because the government isn't reopening. We're not seeing it reopen because, hell, they just took a paid vacation. They literally just said, well, we're going to need some more time off. And while everyone else is struggling right now during the shutdown, they give themselves a paid vacation. So I think it's always very important to circle back when we're talking to the other side and say to them, is this really what you voted for? Now, I know there's some of them out there that are gleeful about this because they don't understand what's really going on and they just think, oh, this means less government in my life. But really, is your grocery bill lower? Is your life any easier? Are you still struggling to put food on your table? You have to circle back to just reality checks in my mind. You have to bring it back around. So if they really did want to work for the American people, they would get out there in front of the cameras. It all circles back to what we were talking about earlier with the Epstein files. If they want to really be transparent and prove that the Democrats are the scum of the earth, then get in front of the camera. But when Hakeem Jeffries challenged them to get in front of the camera, Mike Johnson said that would be theatrics. He literally did. They want to accuse us of theatrics because we say, hey, how about you pull up a seat and how about you talk to us in front of the American people? And Johnson actually accused the Democrats of theatrics, and here was Hakeem's response to that.
Really weird press conference that MAGA Mike Johnson had today. And his team also put out a response to you saying, let's discuss these issues in public, in front of the American people, transparently. MAGA Mike Johnson said that it would be theatrics to meet in public, and he rejects that. I want to get your response to MAGA Mike Johnson rejecting a meeting with you and other Democratic leaders, perhaps in public.
It's not theatrics. It's what the American people deserve. Donald Trump and Republicans in the House and the Senate shut the federal government down because they are unwilling to provide health care to working class Americans, middle class Americans, and everyday Americans. And Mike Johnson needs to defend that position publicly. They refuse to meet privately. They don't want to have a negotiation. They don't want to sit down to try to reopen the government and enact a spending agreement that actually makes life better for the American people and addresses the Republican healthcare crisis. And so because of that refusal to sit down and work this out privately, my view was, let's have a debate publicly. You can air out your position and we can articulate our position. Our position, we believe, is the right one for the American people. Cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save healthcare. If Mike Johnson and Republicans feel like they have the high ground, then defend your position publicly, bro. Defend it publicly.
That's exactly what I was saying before I rolled the clip. If you have the cards and if you're right, then bring it out and show everybody. Show everybody why it is that you're right. But when you say, I won't meet with you behind closed doors and I won't meet with you in public because that would be theatrics, they really want to accuse us of theatrics when they have Donald Trump as their front runner. That's the head of the table. I always say that leadership starts at the top. So if you want to talk about theatrics, Donald Trump has been theatrics ever since he came down the escalator. We see AI videos of Don't Fear the Reaper. We see AI videos of all this ridiculous stuff of him sitting on a Gaza beach with Netanyahu. All this ridiculous shit that they share constantly. The memes and the trolling and the jokes. And then they say, oh, well, just, if you guys will reopen the government, the jokes will stop. That's bullshit. It's all bullshit. If they really were right on this one, if they were right on the Epstein files, they would release it, and they would show that they're innocent, and they would show that Democrats are the devil themselves, right? And if they had the cards on this one and they could show that they were right about this, they would show up. This is, you can think what you want to about Schumer and Jeffries, and I know we've all got our quarrels with both of them, but in this case, they're right, and in this case, if they got in front of the American people, in front of the cameras, Donald Trump's and J.D. Vance, Mike Johnson, their narrative would completely crumble. Because we're not over here trying to get health care for illegal immigrants, because that's not a thing. That doesn't happen. And so they're just trying to spin this any way they can to keep the government shut down and to keep putting the blame on the Democrats. And they've done a masterful job. I'll give them that. They've done such a good job of demonizing Democrats that they have duped people into believing that this could possibly be the Democrats' fault. And it's funny to me because you have a Republican president who, before he was ever president, said that if the government ever shut down, that it would be on the president. Trump actually said, well, they're not going to remember who the Speaker of the House is 100 years from now. They'll know who the president was, so it falls back on him. They've got a Republican president. They've got a Republican Senate. They've got a Republican House. And if need be, they've got a Republican Supreme Court stacked 6-3 in their favor. So how could it possibly be Democrats' fault? You're saying that with all that power, you still can't govern? They never stop and think this stuff through. But that's how I take it, and that's how I would take it if I had voted for them. If I had voted for them, I would be sitting back going, wait a minute, hold on. You've got full control. And by the way, you've got immunity for official acts. So just make it an official act and open the government back up. But no, somehow it always becomes the Democrats' fault. And this has been something Republicans have been working on for years, by the way. They have absolutely rode this one for years, blaming Democrats, but Trump took it to a new level. And he done such a good job of it that he's able to convince people that Democrats have some sort of magic powers these days, when they don't. They don't have the cards, and I'm not trying to borrow from Trump, but they don't. So get in front of the cameras and talk it out in front of the American people. Mike Johnson loves to use the word transparency. Well, here's his chance. Why isn't he doing it? I'll tell you why he's not doing it, because the narrative falls apart when it gets in front of the people. And they know that, and that's why you're not going to see them meet with Jeffries, because if they did, they would also have to have a reasonable conversation. And they're the party of theatrics. If they were to do it, they would turn it into absolute theatrics. I would not be one bit stunned if Trump didn't show up with Jeffries airbrushed on his suit and wiggled his hips like Rick Rude, because that's the type of people that we're up against. That's who they are. They've always been the party of theatrics. They always will be. And actually, what they're doing right now with the whole damn thing is theatrics, by passing the blame on a group of people that aren't even in control. And they got people out there dumb enough to buy it.